What's going on, guys? This is TM25MD, and I don't have another Duelyst live for you guys. Just a standard disclaimer, I will be talking about the new cards a few days after the release of Immortal Vanguard. So I'll be talking about them in my perspective about how these cards will fare in high-level play, whether they'll be good, bad, mediocre, niche, meme, etc., all of the above. So I'll be talking about it that way. I thought I'm taking a little break from the high-end ladder. I was like, yeah, I'm on a hot streak right now. I won 16 in a row with Obelisk Vitruvian. So I'll be taking a little bit of ladder, but I feel like this video was necessary to make to talk about the new cards, precisely at the high levels of S rank, like the top 50 or maybe even just S rank in general, even Diamond. So to talk about the cards and the respective factions, what archetypes they could possibly be. I will be doing a tier list later, probably at the end of the month. There's no point in doing it now. Everything's all over the place. That wouldn't make sense, nor it would be fair to anybody that's a newer player trying to make one good deck or a couple good decks, to try and tell them where to invest their resources. So I don't think that would be a good idea at this point in time, but I will do one at the end of the month, or maybe even after, whenever the meta decides to settle. We'll see when I'll make it. So look forward to that. Again, these are my own opinions, so please don't persecute me, please. Fate, please don't. all right, starting off anyways. We got Lion-R. Steadfast Formation. I'll make this quick. Try and run this through. I've seen people do the whole set in like an hour and a half and maybe 2 hours. I'll try and do it in less than that. Keep it brief. And so if you guys are just, doing work or whatever, just put this on in the background. Not a whole lot going on today in terms of games. So this could be great background music. I usually listen to podcasts and other sort of educational talks if I'm not listening to music while doing work. So this is a great way to do that. This is strictly educational, right? But anyways, starting off Lion-R, we have a Steadfast Formation, which is a 0-mana spell. Give minions in 2x2 area provoke. In high level play, Lion-R is already struggling from what I'm seeing right now. Lots of Magmar on ladder and lots of Shaddai spell high as well, and some Vitruvian, control Vitruvian, with Graphnel and whatnot, mid-range Vitruvian. This not really good. Lion mains are already beefy as is. They're very resilient, and quite frankly, a lot of them already have provoke. Cards like Silverguard Knight, Duelyst. It's not a Lion-R minion, but it's seen in Divine Bond or Titan lists. Brome's BBS already has a provoke minion, Ironcliff Guardian, Elix Stormblade, Excelsius. Those all have provoke. I guess if you wanted to run like a meme, Owl Beast, Arcanist Lion-R list, then yeah, you can throw this in there. With Aegis Barrier, Beam Shock, you can get a lot of 0-mana spells. But on the flip side, you would need a fair amount of card draw, right? You have six 0-mana spells on top of your running cards like Aegis Barrier, Side-Drop Elixir for 1-mana spells. You'll need a lot of card draw, but outside of that archetype, I don't think this is good. You could run this in Swarm. Swarm Lion-R already has enough hand killers already, so I don't think it's going to be that helpful. And plus, they would rather look for cards that boost attack and HP, cards like Fighting Spirit, Skywind Glaives. This new card to an extent, Sunbond Pavise, the Ephemeral Congregation as well, Warblade. That's what they're looking for. They're not looking for provoke, since you can already provoke with Brom's BBS. A pretty meh card. Anyways, moving on. Dauntless Advance. 2-mana spell. Your general and nearby friendly minions takes no damage this turn. That could be nice. If you're looking to trade with Magmar against cards like Lava Slasher, Mechanters, you don't have a way to clear it. Like Tiger's been nerfed, so you can't Tiger or Mecanter anymore. You can't really clear Magmar without taking a ton of damage from you and your minions. Yeah, then this is great for that. But outside of that, it's a bit slow. It's a bit niche. It's pretty much dead in every other matchup, in my opinion. It's like a pseudo. What's that card called? The Golem 5/5 with Bond that you take no counterattacks this turn. Your opponent doesn't counterattack this turn. It's basically like that. You can combo this with like Flame Blood Warlock, I guess, if you're running an aggro variant. But if you're running aggro or like tempo, you would prioritize minions. So this is a spell, pretty meh. Sunbond provides only really good in Swarm, in my opinion. It's a 2-mana artifact that gives your minions above and below you +2 attack and provoke. You have to position pretty carefully around this. If your opponent sees this equipped before you get any minions, then they can just easily play around it, right? Though this does take up a fair bit of space. You know, you're taking up 3 out of 5 spaces in a column. But if you can play in a way such that your opponent doesn't get the buffs, like you occupy the spaces above and below your opponent's general, then you can be pretty good. It doesn't give your general an attack buff or provoke, so it's a little bit meh there. So a bunch of meme cards so far, in my opinion. This can potentially be decent. If I was playing Swarm, I would definitely play like Skywind Glaives over this, to be honest. So yeah, moving on. 3-mana Vigilator, 3/4, build 1. So when this minion is built, give nearby friendly minions +3 health. This is a okay turn 1 play, but if you are playing a turn 1, you're not going to get the buff, right? You'll be. I don't know. I feel you just play Silverguard and you get a 3/5 provoke, which is, you know, immediate. Your opponent won't spend resources to get rid of this unless it's you're playing against Magmar, and just natural selection is just a really strong tempo play early on. So all in all, I don't think it's that great. It's a decent body. It's a 3/4. Maybe if this was like build 2 with maybe 1 or 2 more health, same effect, yeah, it might be a little bit better. But the fact that it's build 1, you can't play this turn 1 and expect to get the health buff. It's impossible unless you play like a 1-mana drop, like you play 1 mana plus this minion. Going second, like a slow Bloodtear Alchemist, Swamp Entangler, then you're not going to get any value from this, to be honest. So not that great. It's not terrible, but in Gauntlet, I would definitely pick it. It's a 3/4. Why not? Moving on. Sunforger, 3-mana legendary, 2/2. Whenever you summon this minion, give a nearby minion whenever you summon a minion nearby this minion, give them both +1/+1. This is further Swarm support or Brom support. You play a bunch of minions nearby this. You play like a Bloodtear. Brom's BBS becomes a 2/3, and this becomes a 3/3. So this is surprisingly good in Swarm. You can even make this work in mech sword lists. You know, just run helms, cannons, swords, etc., and those all get buffs. Helm becomes a 3/3 for 1. That's pretty good. So you get 2 3/3 for 4 mana. So turn 1, you play this when going second. You play this on the tie. You play a helm in front of it. You get 2 3/3s. So that's pretty good. It's pretty hard for your opponent to deal. They can't Tiger it anymore. Tiger's been nerfed. So yeah, they can't do much about that. Let's say you play this like, you know, when you have 5 6 mana, you just dump a bunch of small minions, right? Plus Brom's BBS. This thing gets big pretty quickly, and is easily a threat. You need Dispel or hard removal for it, which is pretty good for a 3-drop, right? That's very good for a 3-drop. The fact that this has such a high ceiling for a 3-drop is fantastic. Great card. Could you run this in Divine Bond list? Nah, it wouldn't fit. Too slow. Can't get enough minions down for it. Maybe if you're running Brom, but otherwise, not so much. Could be decent with Zero as well, I suppose. Next up, Decorated Enlistee, 3-mana, 1/5. While at full health, this minion has 3 attack, so it becomes a 4/5. It's terrible. The only way you can get it back to full health is with Sun Drop Elixir, Holy Immolation, Zero End's Bloodborne Spell, and Hallowed Ground, but Hallowed Ground only heals 1, so unless you're only taking 1 point of damage, then this is pretty bad. Terrible. Always take Silver Guard. Even in Gauntlet you can play it, but it's pretty bad. Plus, Silver Guard's more common. Silver Guard's a basic, this is a common, so you'll be able to find Silver Guard more often. Next up, Fealty. 3-mana spell, draw a card for each friendly minion nearby your general. Okay, I still think Trinity Oath is much far better. You pay 1 more mana, you get 3 health, 3 cards. This is dependent on you having a board, so I guess this is better for Swarm. Mine are for Braum in general. But still, Trinity Oath is just, more consistent since it doesn't have any requirements beyond that stuff. Meh, at most. Only fits 1 archetype. That seems to be the case with most of these cards already. That just fits 1 archetype, and that's Swarm Braum. And even at that, they're just meh from so far. Outside of Sunforger, they're all just meh at best, unfortunately. Next up, Ironcliff Monument is a 4-mana legendary structure with 0/10 stats, just like the build. But it has build 2, which is pretty good, which means you can Time Warper it the following turn, since it is 4 mana. Whenever you summon a minion nearby this, transform that minion into an Ironcliff Guardian. You would need a lot of minions to do this. I wouldn't run this in Divine Bond, like Argion or Braum. I guess you could run it in as a couple copies, maybe 2 copies in Divine Bond Braum, or even Titan. But this could go well with a. This can go well with mechs, right? You play a bunch of helms, wings, sword. Very, very rarely do you get the frenzy off with swords, so this could be pretty good. If you play those minions, 9 minions on nearby this, you can get a couple Ironcliff Guardians, which I think is pretty good. Helps your general stay alive. Provoke is essentially healing. But the downside of this, it is a 0/10. It can't move, so you have to place this carefully. If you play this in plain view, if you try to be aggressive with this, your opponent might just trade into it. This is very vulnerable to natural selection. It's also 4 mana, so your opponent could just play Plasma Storm the following turn, and Braum has nothing to deal with it. At least Argion can use Roar to get his minions outside of Plasma Storm range, but this, pretty difficult. I guess you can throw an Aegis Barrier on this and say deal with it, forcing them to either have Plasma Storm or Dispel. This is an okay card, but if you are able to get it off, then it's fantastic. You're able to get, even just 2 Ironcliffs. Even 1 Ironcliff is still pretty decent value, right? But 2, oh man, that's pretty good value. But outside of that, it's difficult to pull off, I think. Moving on, 4 mana spell, epic, Sunstrike, deal 3 damage to enemies, and restore 3 health to friendly minions in a row. Decent removal. It's like a tiger for a row, right? It's not that difficult to play around, because usually people play checkered formation when playing around Holy Immolation, so by doing that already, you're already playing around this card. And plus, you need to choose a row, so you'll try and aim for it, that your general's in that row as well. Not necessarily, but you can, to try and get that 3 health buff. But if not, you're not trying to get that health removal. This does 3 damage to all minions and generals. This can go face, which is nice. Can also clear backline threats like sentinels that are played defensively. You can clear those out because you just choose a row and they all take 3 damage. Downside is you're not developing board. This is more a card for Zeran. You can make a case for it in like bond lists as well to help deal with reach. This could replace cards like Martyrdom, But Martyrdom is just so much better as it just deals with the build minions. Since Liner can't deal with builds outside of Martyrdom or Dispel, cards like Sunbloom after they're built. While they're in the building process, only Martyrdom and Amperion's Claim are the cards to deal with it. And plus, usually build minions are low mana cost, so you won't be able to play Amperion's Claim to deal with it. So it's usually just Martyrdom. So that's why I think Liner hasn't been seeing a whole lot of play as of right now in the high level of S rank, simply because they struggle with build minions and Magmar's just running over its play. So if you're trying to run Braum, you're going to get bent over by Plasma Storm, Natural Selection, unless you're running Swarm, and hopefully you can build enough minions that have 4 attack to get outside of that range, but otherwise pretty difficult to play Liner right now. But that's not what we're going over. Moving on, Invincible, 4 mana epic spell. Give a friendly minion with full health +4/+4. This is a terrible Divine Bond. Never run this. In Gauntlet, it might be okay. You know, you throw it on a big minion that you play defensively, right? You play a Hailstone Golem like behind you. Your opponent can't deal with it for now. They'll probably deal with it next turn. They'll try and develop their own board. But you can capitalize on that, play this on it, and it's pretty much a Wailing Overdrive, which is fantastic in Gauntlet. But this is, you know, +4/+4 as opposed to +5/5. Yeah, pretty bad card in Constructed. In Gauntlet, it's okay. It's pretty good in Gauntlet, I think. Moving on, Oaken Heart, a 5 mana mech, 4/5 stats. Opening Gambit, build Mech Zor by 20% or progress it by 20%. Your other mech minions have +1/+1. This is fantastic. Makes your mech progress minions, so cards like Helm, Wings, Sword, etc. All get +1/+1, so they become a 3/3, 2/5, and 4/4 respectively. Chassis becomes a 3/5 with Force Field, which is surprisingly nice. Can go well with Sunforger, right? Just, you know, gives you another way to buff up your mechs in Lionar. So all around, I think this is a fantastic card. Its stats are rather low for being 5 mana, but the fact that it can progress and, you know, buff up your other minions, it doesn't buff itself, unfortunately. If it was able to buff itself to a 5/6, that'd be even better, but I think that might be a little bit over the top, to be honest. Very good card, I think, for Mech Lionar. So, good card. Moving on, we have Prominence, which is a 6 mana 4/7 Blood Surge, so essentially 7 mana. Blood Surge, summon a Silver Guard Knight nearby your general. It's a great control card, but if you're trying to play the control game as Lionar, you're already running cards like Magesworn, EMP, possibly Amperion's Claim, so that 6/7 mana slot, technically 7 mana slot, is already filled. And if you're running Magesworn, it's going to be tough to fit this in because you won't be able to play your Bloodborne spell. Bloodbound spell, because Magesworn's on the field, you'll be able to play it. If you have EMP, it could counteract what you've already developed, but if you play EMP and into this, yeah, it's a decent play. Or you can just completely forgo EMP and Magesworn, but that opens you up to a lot of possibilities. A lot of decks that you aren't countering anymore by omitting those cards, so decks like Wall of Vanguard will just run through you. EMP is fantastic against, you know, Magmar. They can't deal with a large minion outside of, you know, clearing board and Mat Select or Thumping Wave. But I don't think this is a bad card. This is fantastic in Gauntlet. They'll probably just win you the game in Gauntlet, Frank. In Constructed, it's not a bad card. It's a good card. But I think this slot is already highly contested, which makes it fall short of the other cards that you would like to play. But by no means is it a bad card. You can definitely run it in like a Bond or a Control List. Still decent. Still good. Moving on, last card of the set for Lionar. 7 mana legendary spell, Call to Arms. Your general gains minions summon nearby 3. Minions you summon nearby gain +3/+3. So you can have some synergy here with Prominence. I believe it has been confirmed that this effect is dispellable on your general. So what else is played on 7 mana? EMP. You play this, the EMP, and then your turn is wasted. Considering you already, hopefully you have a board when you play this, but if you just play this naked and hope your opponent also doesn't have the 7 mana play, it's pretty bad. It's a nice meme. It can work in Gauntlet. But this is just bad. Anyways, moving on to Songhai. Gonna have to drink a lot of water for this, guys. Assassination Protocol. I didn't think this was going to be good at first, but having seen the combos already, with Kalios, Deceptibot, in silver. So you just run Deceptibot in silver. You play Assassination Protocol on 5 mana with Deceptibot, and you get a 7/5. Turn 2, turn 3. That's some pretty good value. Potentially, you already have your 4/5 on board, right? Fantastic with that combo. Can also be great with Kalios' big minions. He's got a lot more minions that he can use now for Zendo combos, right? He got Copperkiss Marauder, which is a 9/9. So this can go well with his Hammond, Copperkiss Marauder, Zendo, EMP. Just clear minions, right, for 1 mana. Pretty good. Otherwise, if you just top deck this, it's a pretty bad top deck. Any other list like Aggro Riva, it's not good. Just run an Inner Focus over it if you're looking for damage on face. But in those combo lists, it's very strong. So next up, we have a 2 mana, 1/3 Suze Mabachi, which is whenever you cast a spell, this minion gains +1 attack until your next turn. This card is terrible. Chakri, Katana, Scroll Bandit are infinitely better. Once Qatar gets rotated out, because it is part of Shimzar, yeah, sure, play this card. But otherwise, it's just outclassed by 3 other cards I just mentioned. So yeah, Mass Flight, give all minions 2 mana, give all minions flying this turn. You're already running Juxtaposition and Misdragon Seal. This is also 2 mana. It's a nice meme, but I don't think it's that good. Moving on, 3 mana legendary 3/1 Penumbra, excuse me. Build 2, backstab 2. Whenever this backstabs, transform it into a building with build 1. So if you happen to get a backstab off, this becomes build 1. Then it'll become. So it means you can't really dispel this, right? Unless it's in this form, not in a building form. So this is great if you can constantly get backstabs off. But if your opponent sees this, they're going to have a couple turns to deal to prep for it. So they might just chill against the wall. So your answers of dealing with it, your ways of dealing with the fact that your opponent's backed up against the wall are rather limited. It's just Zendo and Twilight Fox. Twilight Fox isn't really seen, so just Zendo. Has a nice concept, but difficult to pull off. It's an okay card at best. Moving on, 2/3 Duskrigger, 3 mana. Backstab 2, whenever this backstabs, put a Mechazor progression into your action bar. Mechazor progression is a 0 mana spell that progresses Mechazor by 20%. If you can get backstab off, this can go really great with Assassination Protocol. Try and get as many 20% in your action bar. They are 0 mana, so you can just cast them all at once and try and get mech out really quickly. But if you can't get the backstab off, this card is pretty bad. It's 2/3 for 3 mana, so it has the same stats as a 2-drop, but it's for 3 mana. It can be inner focused, which is nice. But other than that, it's okay. It's not bad, but it's just okay. Yeah, moving on. 3 mana Thunder Bomb, deal 3 damage and 1 damage to all enemies around it. So this is great with cards like 8 Gates and Crescent Sphere. So 8 Gates makes this 5 damage to whatever you're targeting, and then 3 damage AoE. So that's pretty strong, right? That's like a Death Blighter that can go face, clear everything around your general. It punishes bunching up with your minions, right? If you're trying to play around backstab, so it punishes that. But usually you wouldn't run this in a backstab list. Backstab lists usually are minion centric. But you definitely run this with like as in an 8 gates list and mantra lists. So fantastic support to those archetypes. Good card, good card. It's basically like another Phoenix Fire. It's like a Phoenix Fire and kind of like a Ghost Lightning built into one. If your opponent bunches up, so decent. Very strong against Lilith. Yeah, very strong against Lilith. Next up, we got a 3-mana Bamboozle. Transform a nearby enemy minion into a 0/2 Pado. If it's already a Pando, not Pado. If it's already a Pando, just instead destroy it and draw to fill your action bar. I've seen people try and pull this off in Kalios. And you're going all in on the removal, and you draw to fill your hand, but at the same time, you're not really developing board. I would rather just play Onyx Bear Shield and have a decent curve and card draw of my own. So I'm not a big fan of this card. I don't think it's particularly great, because I would just rather, if I'm playing Kalios, I will be playing minions almost every turn, right? If I can't deal with a minion, I'll probably just juxt it as removal, or if I happen to be running Onyx Bear Seal or Returning Painter, I'll just go with that. And if I'm low on cards, usually I have a steady curve, right? Most of my power plays are in the 5-mana slot and the 6-mana and potentially 7-mana slots. 4-mana as well with Flame Wreath and Thunderhorn, right? So I wouldn't want to waste my time not developing board just to fill my hand. If I plan on dumping like 3 Kataras and I don't know, Squirrel Bandit turn 1, then sure, this can be great if you are able to get the Pando effect off to fill your action bar. But other than that, you're doing too much to draw these cards, and you're developing too little in response. So I don't think it's that great. That's just me though. Substitution of 3-mana epic spell. Switch positions between a friendly minion and your general. This can go well with like Mask of Shadows, right? After you get a backstab off with like Katara or like Scroll Bandit, you can play this. If you don't even have to have Mask of Shadows. You can have Obscure and Glow, which is applicable to your general. So you can do quite a bit of backstab damage and try and protect your minion at that after it has already backstabbed. So I think this is backstab support. Outside of that, I don't think it's that great. Moving on, we have 4-mana Mana Kite Right Drifter, which is 3/3 and build 2. When this minion is built, gain +2 mana this turn. This will be built if you play this on curve and then you play Time Warper on 5. You can't play Time Warper, because if you play Time Warper, you'll be left with 3 mana this turn. If you play Time Warper on 5 and build this, you'll be left with 3 mana, so that's not particularly strong play. If you're looking for a big combo, you wait for this to be built on its own naturally. So that will be built on turn on 6 mana. Then you'll be buffed up to 8, and you can do quite a lot of combos. You can do like double 8 gates, double Phoenix Fire, right? That's a pretty specific combo, but there is support, right, with this card here that gives you 8 gates. You have Geomancer. So this can potentially be good if all goes well. If it doesn't, it's pretty mediocre. But by no means a bad card. It is a playable card. Moving on. 4-mana. 3/5 Wildfire Tenketsu. Tenketsu. So, Blood Surge, put in 8 gates into your action bar. This is 8 gate support, so you can just run a full 8 gates list. That's not Mantra. If you like a little bit of minions here and there, like Geomancer. This is good too. It's a 3/5, so it survives Holy Immolation, survives Mecanter. It's a 5-mana play, so it survives Lava Slasher, which is very big as well. Fantastic body, great effects, and really supports that archetype. Would I omit 8 gates from my list? Probably not. I would still run at least 2 8 gates for consistency if I can't happen to get this off right. But I still think it's great support for 8 gates list. Okay, next we have a legendary spell, 5 mana Seeker Squad, summon a Heartseeker nearby, in each nearby space diagonal from your general. This is hot garbage. Just play Jax on 6 mana. Why? Because this just gets bent over by cards like Stars Fury, Encanted War Beast. Your opponent can probably kill off most of them. We're not even talking about cards like Ghost Lightning, Plasma Storm. I wouldn't use the Plasma Storm to get rid of this. This is like a high quality meme, decent in Gauntlet at best. Yeah, terrible. Terrible and constructed in my opinion. Alright, next. Ornate Hyogi, which is a 6 mana artifact. Whenever you cast a spell, draw a card. This can go great for mantra lists. If you can drop this, you drop this first, you play this, you just start casting through your hand, and eventually you can go infinite and have like an infinite combo, draw all your Phoenix Fires, draw your mantras, etc. Right? Pretty powerful if you can pull that off. I don't think it's a bad card. I think it's an average card, but great in mantra lists. So that's mantra support right there. Because you can't have that possibility of going infinite. I remember I think I saw Alpha Century trying to go for an infinite combo, and he actually has succeeded. So pretty cool card. Moving on, the last card of Songhai is Second Sword Sarugi, which is a 7 mana 4/7. Not the best stats for a 7 mana, but your spells cost 2 less, so this includes your Bloodbound spell. So if you happen to have Phoenix Fire from Geomancer as your Bloodbound spell, this is fantastic. That's now 0 mana. And again, if you can happen to get this off with with Wildfire Tenketsu and other cards like that, and you have Ornate Hyogi equipped, you can go infinite, as I said earlier. Fantastic card. It's rather slow when you play it, but if it happens to stick until your next turn, that's when you're looking to kill your opponent. So it's strong in that regard. So yeah, it's a good card for 8 gates and mantra lists. Moving on to Vitruvian, we have to start off Burden of Knowledge, which is a 0 mana spell. Deal 3 damage to your opponent. Or excuse me, deal 3 damage to your general and draw a card. Terrible. Why would I deal 3 damage to draw a card? I would just rather pay 1 mana to play a Science First Wish on one of my minions and give it a buff. Like, I guess you can run some memes with Arcanist, but this is terrible. Moving on, Kinematic Projection. Give a minion blast, it no longer can move. This can go well with Neuralink. Right, gives your general keywords this turn, so you can give your general a blast this turn. So with Falchius, right, that can go pretty well. This Falchius from the distance. I've seen some people do this with Thunderhorn. I know Jesus Masuk was using, and I think he's like S rank 13, 10, 10 through 13, somewhere around there. Pretty high up in S rank. Pull this off with like cards like Thunderhorn. Even cards like Grandmaster Noshrak. So you on 9 mana you play Noshrak plus whatever minion you have, and your opponent's running away because you pressured them early game. You just slap this on and snipe them. You have to move before you do this. By the way, if you want to try and get this value off. So yeah, I think it's a decent card. Yeah, why not? Next up we have Equality Constraint, which is a 2 mana spell. Any minion's health becomes its attack. So this is great against build minions. This is good against obelisks. Other than that, I wouldn't play this turn 1 to counteract a build minion or an obelisk. I'd rather just try and develop my board and then deal with it later. But yeah, it's still playable. It's a decent card. I wouldn't run 3, maybe 2. Next up, we have Neuralink. As I said, you can do some nice fancy combos with this. You can do it with, not Rush, because your general will already be active, I think. Unless you can reactivate your general. I'm not sure about that. Unless you can reactivate your general, then this could be good with Rush. What else can we do? You can give your general Force Field, right? If you have a Chassis of Mechazor on board, or just a Mechazor on board, right? If you have Mech on board, this could be great. Yeah. This is a pretty powerful card, given it depends on the archetype you're playing, right? If you're playing Mechazor, this can be powerful. Yeah, why not? It's a good card, I think. Yeah, moving on. Iris Barrier. This is great for Sock. It's a 2-mana artifact. Your general takes no damage during your turn, so you don't have to worry about your artifacts getting pinged if you just happen to trade with like Staff of Vakir or you have a Wildfire Ankh, but you're surrounded. You don't have to worry about that. You're not going to take any damage. This is great for Sock. Good card. In Xerix, yeah, you can run it, sure. Same with Sifron, yeah, you can do it. But they already have their own ways of just trying to keep themselves alive, so I don't think this is necessary. But this is great for Sock. This is great, especially with their Bloodbath stuff. Moving on, we have this cute little guy right here, Skippy, which is a 3-mana 3/3 Dying Wish. Put a random legendary artifact from your opponent's keyword opponent's faction into your action bar. If you play this against Vanguards, it's pretty hot trash because you can get cards like the Dredger. Cold Biter is okay, but not against Vanguard. It's not good. Busy, you can get Soul Grimoire. What else can you get? Soul Grimoire. You can get Ghost Azalea. That's not that good. That's it. So Busy, you have a 50-50 of getting a decent artifact. Magmar, you can get Twin Fang. That's pretty good. What else can you get from Magmar? You can get Eternal Heart. Decent in late game if you're getting low. You can get Twin Fang, Eternal Heart. That's it for artifact. For Magmar. So decent against Magmar. If you can get either of them are fine, I guess. What else is next? Songhai, you can get Crescent Spear, you can get Unbound Amulets. Unbound Amulet is terrible, to be honest. So, not really that useful when playing against Songhai. Moving on, what else is there? We already went over Vanguard, Magmar, Disney, Songhai. Vitruvian, if you use it in the Vitruvian Mirror, you can get Hexblade. You can get Spine Cleaver. Those are good cards, so this is great against the Vitruvian Mirror. Linar, you can get Arclight Regalia. You can get Hollowed Bulwark, the 5-mana artifact that gives your minions Force Field, and you can get Dawn's Eye, which is good as well. So this is great against Linar, right? Getting Regalia or Dawn's Eye is fantastic, right? Especially if you're playing Sock, right? If you're playing Sock and you happen to get Dawn's Eye or Regalia, oh boy. And then you get Iris, yeah, well, Regalia kind of acts like a Iris Barrier, but oh my god, you get Dawn's Eye plus, oh man, the combos you can do. So I think this is a decent card for Sock. Yeah. Moving on, we have Simulacra Obelisk, which is a 0/7 structure, 3 mana. Build 2 Summon Dervish, so it only summons 1 Dervish. When this minion is built, start building another one next by it. So this is more of a control card. It's pretty slow. But if you're able to get it off, yeah, it's not bad. Demand removal, because it can just snowball, right? Yeah, I think this is a great card all around. If you're running like an aggro variant, it's slow for that, but if you're running like a mid-range or control list, yeah, run this. You can even play it with Timekeeper and it'll build another one. But you won't get the Dervish until after it's built. You won't get, or the turn it is built, you won't be able to get Summon Dervish. You'll be able to get the Summon Dervish after. So, yeah, but still nonetheless a very good card. Moving on, we have Baron Strike, which is a 4-mana 5/5, build 2 with Blast. So it's like a Starfire Scarab. You'll get this out on 5 mana if you play Timekeeper. You get 1 more attack. The beauty is that it has 5 health, survives Canter, Lava Slasher, Holy Ablation, which are all good to have. Would I play this over Starfire Scarab? Yeah, if I'm running other build cards, right? Like if I play this on 3, this on 4, Timekeeper, get both of them. Yeah, it's a decent combo. I don't think it's a bad card. It's a preference call, honestly, if you want to play this or Starfire Scarab, to be honest. The fact that you can get this out earlier and your opponent needs to deal with it, or it becomes a 5/5 with Blast. Yeah, it's a pretty big threat. So, yeah, good card. Lost in the Desert, which is a 4-mana epic spell, which deals 6 damage to enemies that are not nearby the enemy general. I did feature this in my live the other day. It is pretty decent, right? It's great in aggro, mid-range tempo lists. It's great for finishing off your opponent if your opponent starts running away from the obelisks, right? And you're able to successfully deal with their board. It's 6 face damage. Will they play around the second one? Most definitely. After you played one of these, they don't want to take 12 damage from just 2 cards, right? So they will play around the second one, but usually it only takes 1 to win, right? It only takes 1 to win. So I think it's pretty good. Gust, you saw this yesterday, the amount of out-of-hand damage this can do on 6 mana, especially if you get a Fireblaze damage, Fireblaze to stick. You get a Fireblaze to stick, you play this, right? You get 2 3/2 dervishes. That's potentially 6 damage on 6. That's better than a Revenant, right? Yeah, and you leave behind a 3/5, so pretty threatening in my opinion. Great card, great card. Moving on, we have Silica Weaver, which is a 5-mana 4/4 progressive Megazord build by 40%. This is a very bland card. I mean, like, there wasn't that much creativity that went into this. Like, oh, let's just make a minion that progresses Megazord by 40%. But creativity aside, this is very strong for mech, right? You can get this. This counts as 2 mechs technically for progress. The stats for 5 mana are pretty bad, but if you just want to jam out, if you try and jam out Megazord by like turn 2 or turn 3, this is the card to do it, because this is essentially counts as 2, as I said. So all you have to do is in your first 2 turns just play 3 mechs, right? That's not that hard to do. If you happen to draw this one, you just pump out another one. And plus, this can also help generating a second Megazord, because you can now build multiple. Yeah. Good card in mech list. Yeah. I would definitely run 2 to 3 of them. Next on, Grapnel Paradigm. This card is for 6 mana, 5/5. All around, a better Zenerly. Yeah, it's fantastic. You can steal loads of small minions, especially with Siphoron's Bloodbound spell. You can steal anything that's up to 4 attack on 7 mana, so you can steal Lava Slashers, you can steal Thunderhorns, you can steal Desolator, which is nice. Stealing Desolator is pretty big, actually. Yeah, fantastic card. Also, if you want to talk about the Sabotage archetype, I think it's pretty decent on top of that. But you can even get cards like Desolator. On 4 mana, you play your Bloodbound spell and then Psychic Conduit, then ram that Desolator into your opponent, and you get a Desolator of your own to your action bar. So, Sabotage Vitruvian has a lot of support, and I think it's fantastic. Monolithic Vision, which is a 9-mana spell, which transforms your action bar into 6 random Vitruvian cards that cost 4 less. So even if you have less than 6 cards in your hand, you'll still have a full action bar. This is RNG. If you're willing to take that risk, I personally am not, so I don't think it's that great. You're paying 9 mana to pretty much do nothing unless you get cards that cost 4 or less. Like obelisks, if you can pull some obelisks from this, sure, it's okay at best, but other than that, I'm not a big fan of it. Too much RNG. Okay, moving on to my faction, we have Abyssian, and to start off, we have Nightmare Operant, which is a 2-mana 3/2, just like Phantasm. It's a mech with Dying Wish, shuffle a Megazord into your deck. Even if you're not playing a full mech deck, right? The fact that you can replace into a Megazord for 4 mana, right? Just give you a larger image. I don't know why I did that, but the fact that you can pull a 4-mana Megazord from your list, really powerful, really powerful. Fantastic 2-drop. I think this is great. Deathmark, 2-mana spell. Deal 1 damage to an enemy, and after it is attacked this turn, destroy it. It's pretty bad. Just play Punish or Ritual Banishing. I don't want to, like, those cards. The beauty about those cards is I don't have to use my face to remove it, right? This one requires me to pay 2 mana for a spell and have to use my face to get rid of it. Not a big fan. Not a big fan. Next up, we have Void Talon, which is 3-mana 6/1, build 1. Decent for aggro lists, but it's highly punished by cards like Bloodtear and any sort of ping that we have in the meta. So you just keep your distance until it's built, and then play your pings, Blistering Scorn. Pull out your Alchemist, Ghost Lightning, Mana Death Grip, Gatatsu, etc. It's really not that hard to play around. It's decent against Magmar. Won't be able to natural selection it. They'll have to trade awkwardly into it. Yeah, it's not terrible. It's decent aggro, but with so much ping, you have to be very careful when you use this. Infest, 3 mana spell. Choose an enemy minion. Whenever it dies, when it dies, give this effect to all nearby minions and deal 2 damage to the enemy general. This is more of a tech card that you would see against lots of swarms. So this is good against Linar Swarm, good against Abyssian Swarm. Otherwise, it's pretty hard to play this, because if you play this and they only have 1 minion, it dies, then yeah. This can be decent on 9 mana. You play Necrotic Sphere. That doesn't work. You have to be very careful of how you play this card. I would definitely run it in your constructed list. Simply because if you're playing a lot of Magmar, you just get it against 1 minion. And the fact that it has to be nearby enemy minions gain this effect. If your opponent just simply spreads out, this effect pretty much becomes nulled away, or void. Excuse me, becomes void. So moving on, Horrific Visage, 3 mana spell. Give all minions -3 attack until your next turn. It's a really bad Void Steal. Because Void Steal is the same thing, except you get +3 attack, and it's permanent. This is terrible. Abhorrent Unbirth, which is 3 mana spell. Destroy all friendly minions to summon a 1/1 abomination that gains their attack, health, and keywords. So this is an all-in kind of play, looking to finish off your opponent. So ideally, you would try and, if you want to do this with Mech and Rush, it'll give you a ton of stats. So it'll give you all the abilities of Mech. So ranged, force field, if you have a bunch of mechs on the board. So it'll give you a 6/6, and then if you have the Rush minion on it, it becomes a 9/9, 7/7 into a 9/9, and then any other minion that you happen to have on it, it just becomes big as well. What else can you do? Get Vogue. If you do Vorpal Reaver, you'll get a 7/7 with Celerity. If this is more of a finisher, and it's a difficult finisher at that. But if you are able to pull it off, it'll probably just win the game. Yeah, it's a good card. Next up, we have Kakophinos, which is a 6/4 4-mana minion, which has Dying Wish, destroy a random enemy minion nearby. I've seen people try and use this with Knave, and it's just bad. It dies to things like Phoenix Fire, Cancer, Holy Immolation Tiger, etc. Lava Slasher. It's good against Lava Slasher because it trades. So you have to play this defensively. I've seen a lot of people try and pull this off, but it's really not that hard to find 3 damage with minions. You can just back off if you don't want to take the 6, and try and develop something to counteract it. For me, I played against this when I was playing Obelisk Vet. My opponent played this, I developed the Fireblaze, and I just backed off. He decided to be aggressive with it. It came into range of the Fireblaze Obelisk, and it just died, and I was like, okay, that was a pretty, that was a wasted 4-mana play. So, moving on. Next, this is a really cool card, one of my favorite cards of the expansion. I haven't used it that much, to be honest, but I think I really like the concept and its design. Simply because, like Abyssian is like this faction from like the Underworld, right? And like now their full potential is like released because they can just pull all these demons from this gate, right? So I like the concept about this, this design and how they made this. But yeah, Gate to the Underworld, which is 0/0 structure. It's invulnerable, so you can't punch it. It's in when you the way Thanatos Noah developer said. He says when regarding Gate to the Underworld, is question: can you ... answer no. So that's invulnerable for you in the terms of a developer. It's build 3, so it will take time to develop. So you'll get this out on 7 mana. What a demon is, it can pull Moonrider, this guy here, that's 666, Klaxon, or Vorpal Reaver. So all the 6 mana minions with 6/6 for stats it can pull, so those 3. And it's with Death Watch, so you can run this with Lilith, and you can get a ton of value. The RNG is not that big. Sometimes you might want a Vorpal Reaver. Sometimes you might want Klaxon for provoke. But typically the ones that you would want if you're playing Lilith would definitely be Moonrider or Vorpal, because with Vorpal, you get a Celerity minion, which is insane with a nice Dying Wish effect. Moonrider, you develop a 6/6, a 4/4, and 2 1/1s, which is very good value if you're able to get that off. So this is a great card. If you play this card, you'll probably win the game. And if your opponent can't kill you, you're at a distance, this card starts generating value, you'll most definitely win the game. Moving on, we have Velium Scry, which is a 4 mana minion spell. Destroy a friendly minion to draw 3 cards. This is nice for Abyssian, since Sphere of Darkness will be rotating out in the Shimzar expansion. So decent in that regard. Rider of the Undervault is a bit expensive. This is more for Lilith, in my opinion. Great draw for her. Great just draw in general. It's a bit expensive. 3 cards. It's not like whole Trinity Oath, whereas you just draw 3 cards and heal for 3 for 4. This is just you have to destroy something, so it requires you to have something on board. Just to draw 3 cards. If you need the draw, sure, run this, but you can get away with Spelljammer, I think. Moving on, we have a 5 mana artifact, Fjordur Chakram, which gives your friendly minions +2 attack and frenzy. It's a greedy card. It's more of a win more card. It's 5 mana, so it's quite expensive. So you need to have already a developed board. Play this. If you're playing a Swarm list, yeah, it can be nice, but I would just rather play Deathfire, Crescendo plus Soul Shatter Pact, or Soul Grimoire plus Soul Shatter Pact, and that usually just closes out the game on 5 mana. Whereas this one probably won't. So you have to be. It's a pretty niche card, but by no means is it bad. It's more of a win more card, as I said earlier. Talking about demons, we have Moonrider, which is a 6 mana 6/6 Blood Surge. So for 7 mana. Summon a 4/4 Fiend on a nearby space. Fiend is a 4/4. It already says that. Okay. Sorry, guys. Summoning a Fiend. So for 7 mana, you get 10 mana. You get 10/10. So you get 20 points worth of stats, which is pretty good. Because if you look at cards like Pandora, that gives you 19 points of stats. Right? Gives you a 6/13. So this is better. Also, it's more of a control card, so if you're able to play this with like Gates of the Undervault or Variax, you'll probably just win the game if your opponent can't kill you in time. So that's pretty much Abyssian's late game. Variax, Gates of the Undervault, Moonrider. If you can't answer this, you'll probably just win the game. So this will be best used in combination with Gates of the Undervault or Variax lists. Moving on, Betrayal, 6 mana spell. Enemy minions nearby their general gain attack the general. So this is great against Magmar. So if your opponent has like a Cancer nearby, a Lava Slasher nearby, even a Juggernaut nearby, right? EMP, right? You play this and that deals 9 damage. You can deal a lot of face damage. This is potentially the new Revenant, in my opinion. The fact that it can just deal a lot of damage. Would I run 3 of these? Nah, I'd definitely probably run 2, or I have been running 2, and the power you can get from this is insane. The burst you can get from this. Like I've had one time, I've had a Betrayal that did, I think, 15 points. My opponent had an EMP and I want to say a Lava Slasher and like a Young Silithar or whatever. And that was 15 points of damage. It was insane. So very good against Lionar, Titan builds, or just Bond builds in general. Doesn't kill the Bond minions because they have more health and attack, but strong against Magmar. Decent against Golem Vitruvian. Songhai, if they're playing some sort of aggro, then it's good against that, kind of. But mainly against Magmar. Vitruvian, and Lionheart. This card shines. If your opponent's playing like Vespers, Vanguard, it can be good against that. Yeah. Moving on, last card is a legendary 7/7 for 7. Stygian Observer, which is a Death Watch minion. You have minions in your action bar +2/+2. This can make Revenant, since this is 7 mana. If you have a board developed, you play this, trade a bunch of them in, you get a super beefy Revenant, or Tiger, right? Again, this is more of a win more card. Because if you're playing cards like Deathfire, Crescendo, Soul Grimoire, Soul Shadow Pact, you'll probably look to omit this card as it's very expensive. But if you're looking to build like a mid-range, like a combo list or control list, then this card fits in there, no doubt. But for Hyper Swarm, this is too slow. All right, halfway through, guys. Halfway through. We'll make it there. We'll make it there. Magmar. We have Rage Reactor, which is a 1 mana spell. Excuse me, 1 mana artifact. Your general gains +1 attack. Whenever your general destroys an enemy, summon a Ripper Egg on that space. And as we know, if you don't answer Ripper Eggs, you'll probably die. So this is a good artifact, especially for 1 mana. If you can play this on a turn where you have your Bloodbound spell, it'll force your opponent to have multiple pings, right? So pretty difficult to deal with. The fact that it has 3 attack, it allows you to trade with 2 drops, so it's good in the early game. The fact that it's only 1 mana, and you can try and play your 3 drop, right, or another 2 drop, and clear theirs, which is good. I think this is a good artifact. Moving on, we have 2 mana, 10/10 build 3 Biomimetic Hulk. As we learned from Apex and Egg, so if you play Evolutionary Apex, this comes out as a 10/10. If you play Chrysalius Burst and the egg hatches, it comes out as a 10/10, not the build structure. So that's just some future ideas for that. I have a problem with this being a 10/10, I'll be honest. Especially with cards like Timekeeper, which allows you to accelerate this. So for 2 mana, this can be, or technically 5 mana, a 10/10. Oh boy. And it has no effect either, so Dispel, you need hard removal for this. Transformation removal, Punish, etc. Or just get your board to trade into it. This is very strong against Liner, as I have no way to deal with it, unless outside of margin. You just play this, kind of backline, but still reasonably in the fight. Very friendly. So, Seismoid, which is a 2 mana 3/1 mech. Whenever you summon a mech minion from your action bar, both players draw a card. Yeah, it's good. It's good with Starhorn, Desi Starhorn, or Mech Starhorn, rather. You play this, draw a bunch of cards, can go well, synergize well with Decimus, right? If you play 1 Decimus and they can't answer it, this is all dependent. Usually, if you play Decimus blind, your opponent will have an answer for it. But if you can play this, you happen to have 2 Decimus in hand, and you play this 1 blind, hopefully it's fixed, and it does. Play this card, play a bunch of little, helms, wings, etc. You can deal damage and draw cards at the same time, so that's pretty strong. So this is more for Mech Starhorn. Good card. It only has 1 health, so it dies to ping, which there are a lot of, but the value you can get from this, especially if you're playing like a burn Mech Starhorn, it doesn't really matter about the health, really. Next up we have Embryonic Insight, which is a 2 mana spell. If you have an egg, draw 2 cards. This is a draw support for Egg Ragnarok. Yeah, why not run it? It's decent. Yeah, it's a good card for that archetype. Outside of that, nah, it's pretty bad. If you're playing Starhorn or Goth, it's pretty. There are better card draws, just Tectonic Spikes or just even Spelljammer. But yeah, this works for Ragnarok. Moving on, we have Erratic Raptor, which is a 3 mana 5/5 rebirth. After this minion attacks or counterattacks, turn it into an egg. Which is this effect is both a pro and con for it, right? It's easy for your opponent to remove. They'll just base take the 5 and then kill the egg, right? But conversely, if you're able to play this, offensively, like you play this, and then it happens to stick, you play more and Cur on 5, and that's potentially 15 damage. So yeah, very strong minion. I featured it in the first episode of the new expansion, and I put in work. It's a beefy minion, right? That demands an answer. So yeah, very good. Moving on, we have Upper Hand, which is a 3-mana spell. Deal 1 damage to an enemy minion for each card in your opponent's action bar. It's not bad, but Magmar already has a bunch of removal tools already, so plus this is dependent on your opponent's action bar, which is never the greatest. It's not bad removal, but if you're playing like a Voth Smash list, yeah, you could sneak it in, but I would rather just play Kinetic Equilibrium without playing Voth Smash. This is a card that has been seeing a lot of use. Homeostatic Rebuke, which is a 3-mana spell. All minions attack themselves, that includes yours. This is great against Magmar. It's great against Linar. Temple Linar, just really good against Temple Linar, but I don't think there's much Temple Linar on ladder. It really took a hit with the Tiger nerf. So I've seen that go about, and it was not necessarily the greatest. Like, I saw one person, he was actually like in the top 10 of S-Rank, and I played him, and he was playing Temple Linar, and he was just struggling, really. The fact that he couldn't kill me on 7 with Tiger holding relation was pretty much the game. So it also hurt aggro Bizian in that respect as well. So 4-mana Tiger is kind of awkward. You can't play it turn 1 to clear turn 1 Kataras or Scroll Bandits. So you have to have that to block for it. But this card is very good against cards like Titan, Evolution Apex, and Magmar in general. Fantastic removal for 3 mana. Further adds to the Magmar removal package already, which has Natural Selection and Plasma Storm, and possibly Thumpening Wave. So very, very strong. Very strong. Can be a dead card in some matchups, just the auto replace against Shadai, and kind of Wall Vanar as well. The only card this applies to against Wall Vanar is if they already have a Witcher's Wake, but if they play your Witcher's Wake already, you're probably dead. It's decent against Ghost Seraphim, but it'll still survive on 1 health. So if you happen to have 1 point of damage, then yeah, play it. Or if you happen to have 2 of these, yeah, sure, play it. But all around, good card. Moving on, we have a 3-mana Effulgent Infusion, which is give a friendly minion attack equal to your general's attack. This is more of a Voth, right? More of a finisher. But if you're already running Thumping Wave, I don't see the point of using this card. I mean, I guess if you happen to have, I don't know, 9 mana, play Drogon, Bloodborne spell, you happen to have a minion or whatever on board, your general has what, like 8 or 10 attack, and that's potentially 20 damage there as well. I'm sure you can do some OTK combos with that, with Voth, with Drogon. Otherwise, I would just play Thumping, more consistent, and it doubles as removal. But by no means bad card. It's a decent card. Next up, we have 4 mana, 5/4 Progenitor, which is opening Gambit. Each of your other non-egg minions summon an egg of itself behind itself. So this demands removal. This demands like Ghost Lightning, demands Plasma Storm. But Plasma Storm's not usually that strong against Magmar, as most of their minions have over 4 attacks. So if you happen to have you play this once you've already played cards like Lava Slasher, Plasma Storm, that's doing good. This doesn't summon a minion behind itself because it's other minions. And it has to be non-egg minions. So obviously only cards like Lava Slasher, right? Actually, no, this can work with Raptor. I think I remember pulling off a Raptor with this. Yeah. In the episode I featured, the first episode, what it means by non-eggs is it doesn't have to have rebirth. It just means it doesn't happen to have an egg on the field. So if there are no eggs on the field, you play this with any minion, even if it happens to have rebirth or like any sort of effect like that. You will get an egg behind it, and it pretty much demands more removal. This is more of a win more card, though. So yeah, the newest in the game, I did play it, I think on Monday. When I played it, I was already super ahead on board, so when I played it, I won even further. Next up, this is also my favorite cards of the expansion. 4 mana Gigaloth, which is a 7/7. build 2, which is great. Whenever this minion attacks, other minions gain +3/+3. This is more of a win more card. If you get a board to stick, all your minions just snowball. So if you happen to play, like for me, I played this turn 1 with a flash, and then next turn I played a, a lava slasher. This thing hatches, this thing attacks. My lava slasher becomes a 7/7. If this already happens to be on the field, it sticks. And then I play Mycantor, I attack with this first, play Mycantor, and then Mycantor is a 7/7. So this card can snowball free cards, but I think it's pretty fantastic. Pretty good card. Poopa Bomb, which is a 4-mana spell, destroy a friendly egg to deal 4 damage to enemies around it. If you don't, this is a good card. This is a good comeback mechanic. Good removal, good base damage. If you're just playing this blind, it's not that strong, even if you are just clearing your board, because if you aren't able to play any other minion with this, you'll be back where you started, because your opponent will probably start to develop their board after you lose their board. Would I run 3 copies of this? No. I have seen people run this in Ragnar, but it's 5 mana. I'd rather just play Lava Slasher and clear one of their minions and develop a pretty big minion as well, or just play Mycantor, to be honest. But by no means is this a bad card. I just think it's not as strong as an option as what Magmar already has. So, I guess you can run this with Young Silthar if people just happen to ignore it and just finally decide to trade it in. You can do a Papa Bomb. Yeah, that's not bad either. But anyways, moving on. Armada. This is also one of my favorite cards. The design is amazing. The designs on the Magmar cards are fantastic, I have to say. Raptor, Progenitor, Gigalog. Maybe I just like dinosaurs. That could be it. But anyways, Armada, 6 mana, 5/6. Blood Surge, deal 5 damage to the closest enemy. So on 5 mana, going second, you can play this, flash this out, play your Bloodbound spell, and have a 5/4, and potentially be that much more threatening. With Cryptographer, you can even be more threatening if this happens to stick. All around a fantastic card. Would I run 3 of these? Nah. In my list, I only run 2. It's a fantastic card, but most of the time you would look to develop tempo plays like Lava Slasher and Cancer. And I know that sounds redundant, but one of the best Magmar players, Cybon, and he's also a developer. Magmar has always looked to win with 2 really powerful minions, right? Before Lava Slasher was released, it was Mycantor and Silthar Elder. So that's pretty much how they won their games, right? Even Spirit Harvester. Spirit Harvester was really powerful back in the day with Magmar. So Magmar usually looks to win with just a couple really powerful minions, and this is one of them. Moving on, we have Saurian Finality, which is a 7-mana spell. Stun the enemy general. Your general gains +2 attack. Both players lose 3 mana. Restore 10 health to your general. This is more for Drogon, I think. But it's also more for, you can run this in mid-range as like a control card. Try and prevent your opponent from building into their late-game combos. Personally, I'm not a fan of the card, but I've seen a lot of people make it work. And I understand the reasoning behind it. Magmar shines in its mid-game with Lava Slashes and Mycantors, but when you play this, you won't be able to play a Mycantor next turn. You can, at best, you can play a Lava Slasher. So this can set up for your opponent. This can set up for potential lethal. This allows you to be super aggressive in the early game because you will restore 10 health, gain +2 to attack to your general. So even more threatening. Your Voth becomes that much more threatening with that +2 attack, and stuns the enemy general. So whatever they play around them will have to be, since they will be stunned, they'll just have to play minions around them, right? They can't play a minion and move 2 to the left and play around the Cancer or Lava Slasher, right? They'll have to just develop or not develop minions behind them or around them. So fantastic card in that regard. Myself, I have played with it a little bit, but I don't know. I'm indifferent of the fact that you can't play a Mycantor this turn. Okay, last faction. Getting there. I think we only spent, what, an hour on this? Hopefully we can get this in under an hour and a half. Hopefully you guys are still here. Anyways, moving on. Venar. Oops. Accidentally clicked on the card. What do we have? Essence Sculpt, 1 mana spell. Choose a stun minion, put a copy of that card into your action bar. So, a decent tech card if you're playing Elena. If you can, stun a Lava Slasher, play this card. For 2 mana, you get a Lava Slasher of your own, which you can play next turn. Good against bigger minions, to be fair, because you stun their big minion, then you play that same big minion if you want. Right? So by no means a bad card. It's a good card. Moving on, we have Potensor, which is a 2 mana 2/2, which is build 1 airdrop. Terrible. That's all I have to say about this. Cryoblade, 2 mana 2/3, so good stats for 2 mana. Deals double damage to stunned enemies. It's not a Vesper. You would need some sort of buffs to make this really powerful. So with Wailing Overdrive, so on 6 mana you play Wailing Overdrive on this plus Frigid Corona, and that's 14 damage. So this is more of a combo-oriented list, so you need to be running cards like Vespers, Wailing Overdrive, etc. Even this new card here, Crystalline Reinforcement, so double the attack and health buffs of minions. So if you play this with Kara, this gets buffed, becomes a 3/4, and then you double that, becomes that much more threatening. By no means a bad card. More for combos and mid-range slash tempos. You're not going to run this in Wall Vanguard by any means, but sprung in those kinds of lists. More for Vesper support or combo lists. Aspect of the Bear, which is a 2 mana spell, transform any minion into a 4/5 Ursa Plum that will not counterattack, so you can use this offensively, right? If you have the 5 damage, you can use this as removal. Personally, I would run just Aspect of the Ravager, which is now nerfed to 2 mana, or Aspect of the Shimzar, simply because the minions that they'll leave behind are much easier to deal with, and plus you can have Thunderhorn combos with Aspect of the Shimzar. But it's also worth noting Aspect of the Shimzar will be rotating out with the Shimzar expansion in a few months, so this might take its place, and Thunderhorn won't be as rampant as it once was in what's it called Vanguard. It can still be played because Heart's Tissue is a very powerful card with Thunderhorn stuff. So, moving on, Shatter, destroy a stunned enemy minion. Again, Elena support, but I would rather just play Ice Shatter Gauntlet. If I can't reach, I'll just use a transform effect. It's outclassed in my opinion. Crystalline Reinforcement, double the attack and health buffs of friendly minions. This requires you to have a board, and hopefully that will stick. Unfortunately, Vanguard minions are not that strong, so you'll need to be running cards like, you'll need to be running Kara, so it'll be difficult in that regard. Again, more of a win more card. That's all I really have to say about it. Moving on, we have 4 mana Hollow 3/3 Hydrogarm, which is a Vesper. Blood Surge, deal 1 damage to enemy minions in this row, and stun them. So again, more Elena support, right? I would imagine you would play this with you can play this in Kara, as it becomes a 4/4, and you stun minions, so that can help you set up your Vesper combos, right? Yeah, I think it's decent. Yeah, it's a good card. If you're just playing this naked in any other faction, it's only a 3/3 for 4 mana, technically 5. The body is not that great, so I would rather run this in Kara. Next up, we have a 4/5 for 4 mana, Denadoro. Your minions are always infiltrated. So this is nice for cards like just pretty much after you play what's it called? Icebreak Ambush. All those minions have infiltrate, but they already are infiltrated. So if you're playing cards like, if you're playing defensively in your side, so Avalanche side of the board, your cards like Snow Chaser, if you want to run the Raven, not the Raven, I forget what it's called, the 1/4, get +3 attack when infiltrated, that card, and Crystal Cloaker, those will all maintain their buffs, and it's a 4 or 5, so it's a very good body for 4 mana, right? So that's Holy Immolation, Tiger, well, Survive Tiger anyways, but it survives Holy Immolation, Cancer, and Lava Slasher, which are all pretty big, and it's got 4 attacks, so it survives Plasma Storm. More for Vesper minions, yeah. This is more Vesper support, which is good to see. It's not a bad card. It's a good card in that archetype. Moving on, we have Wintertide, which is summon 3 2/2 Vesper Winter Mayrids on any column, so you get to choose the column you want. You play this on 5 mana with Kara, you get 3 3/3s, which is pretty high tempo, or pretty good board development. So yeah, not bad. Further Vesper synergy, more Kara support, which is good to see. Yeah, you can do pretty good work if this happens to stick. If you're able to play this into Endless Plate, these things become 5/5s. You'll have 3 potential 5/5s, and the potential to get bigger on top of what you've already played. So pretty good. Moving on. Ouroboros, which is a 5 mana legendary spell, give friendly minions Dying Wish, resummon this minion on enemy space. So if this is good with like Ghost Seraphim, I guess, then you already have a board. Not necessarily for walls per se, but more like minion-oriented lists that happen to have Ghost Seraphim. So you develop a board, you play Ghost Seraphim into this. Your opponent will need the spell, mass the spell, so cards like Sunbloom, Lightbender, etc. So pretty strong in that regard. But again, you would need a board, so not the best card, but it's playable. It's playable. Endless Plate, which I was mentioning earlier with Wintertide and like Hollow Digrum or Icebreak Ambush. Vesper support, potentially for them to get even bigger snowball effect. It's rather expensive, but if you can happen to get those minions to stick, it's a great card. Again, more for Kara. Moving on, we have a 6 mana 6/4 Echo Deliverance. Whenever you summon another mech, summon a copy of it nearby. So if you play a Helm with the Mechazor, you'll get another Helm with the Mechazor, but it is worth noting that you will not get the 20% Mechazor progress bonus. Because you'll have to play it from your action bar in order to get that bonus. So you'll just get you'll just flood the field with a bunch of mechs. It's expensive. I wouldn't play it. I don't think it's that good. Moving on. We have 6 mana 7/14 Drogar Duelyst. Build 2 while this is building or on the battlefield. Enemy minions and generals can only move 1 space. So if you can play a Timekeeper the next turn and you get this out, you have a 7/14 on board. It's also worth noting. I need to stop clicking on the card. This has the second highest HP in the stat HP stat in the game after Whistling Blade, so that's pretty cool. 7 attack is monstrous. Your opponent can't retreat from this big guy. His design is fantastic. Kind of looks like Starhorn with that horn right here, and then like 2 other horns sticking out. So it kind of looks like Starhorn, but pretty badass still nonetheless. It's a lot of stats, and that's pretty much all it is. Yeah, your opponent can't body block as efficiently, nor can they run away from this monster. And that's pretty much all it is. Just chase your opponent down with a ton of stats. That's the idea. Okay, we finished all the factions, thank God. We'll get through the minions and the neutrals pretty quickly. Neutrals, Metal 2. The mech minion has Rush. You have another mech minion, this gains Rush. So this can be good with Silver and Mechazor if you can pull off like that kind of combo. Strong there. That's all I really have to say about it. Is it's more for combos, combo mech. Lost Artificer, which is a 2 mana 2/3, so good stats there. The first artifact you equip each turn costs 1 less. Notice we have a lot of expensive artifacts. So we have Animus Plate. We have, that's cheap, Fiora Chakram. What else was expensive? I think that was it for artifacts. Iris Bearer is already cheap, so. Ornate Hyogi, I guess you could do that. Makes them all 1 mana less. So if you want to try and get some early artifact synergy going, this card is good there. You can even get a Soul Grimoire for 2 mana if you want to go about that route. but I think you're just better off playing Hike this one. Replicant, 2 mana, 2/2, with opening gambit, draw another replicant from your deck. So it's pretty much a cycle, a cantrip that just gives you a 2/2. People I've seen people on forums saying this is like a must-have in like any deck you play. I disagree. If you're playing a control list, I'd rather run healing and a more resilient minion. But if you're looking for your combos, thinning your deck is a great way, and this is a great card to do it. So I disagree in the fact that where I've seen people say it belongs in every deck. That's far and beyond not true. Combos, this is more for combos, in my opinion. Moving on, Recombobulus, which is a 2/3, great stats. For 2 mana, opening gamut, teleport any minion 1 space randomly. I think this will be best served in Kalios, if you're running cards like Flame Wreath, or even just any other minions that you know. You won't be able to reach with Blink. This can go with that, but usually if you're playing Blink, you usually threaten your opponent in a way where you can reach them with Blink. So, but I don't think it's bad with Kalios. This is a good Gauntlet card. I think it's 2/3. So, also forces your opponent to play kind of pseudo removal. It allows you to retreat a little bit. Because it also works with your own minions, so that's pretty good. So I think it's a decent card. Next up, we have Rescue RX, which is 2 mana, 2/4, build 2. Whenever this minion is built, deal 5 damage to your health. This is more of a preferential card, I think. Yeah, you have to wait a couple turns to gain 5 health. But if you want more immediate healing, you're just better off going with Azure Herald, in my opinion. This has 1 more attack, and you get 2 more health, but at least Azure Herald gives you the health immediately. So this is more for preference, in my opinion. It's not a bad card. It's a good healing card if you want to play it turn 1. Bloodbound Mentor, 3 mana, 3/4, Blood Surge, put a copy of your Bloodbound spell into your action bar. This can go well with, obviously, in Songhai, but can also go well with like a mid-range / aggro Fae. I saw one person just constantly spam Warbird with this card. Cryptographer plus this card, my god, the Warbirds were real. I'll just say that. So it can go well in both Songhai and Vanar aggro Fae. You can play this in Ragnarok, but it's a good spell. Red Steel Minos, which is a 2/3. Not great stats for 3 mana, but it has Blood Surge, gain +2/+2, so for 4 mana, you get a 4/5, right? 4/5 is great stats, ideal stats for a 4 mana minion, right? Because it survives. I'll keep saying this: Holy Immolation, Mechanical, Lava Slasher, which all the cards you'll see at the high levels. Great with Both, because it will buff your general, and this becomes a 4/5, so you have already 2 threats on the field. So, as you saw in my Both list, I ran this guy, and it was fantastic. Good card. Yeah. Moving on, Architects T2K5, who is a mod on the Discord official channel. 3 mana, 1/4, build 1. Whenever this or another minion is built, draw a card. It's okay. I think there are better ways to draw. Since you have to wait a card to draw a card, or excuse me, you have to wait for your buildings to be built in order to draw a card. Well, I don't think it's bad. You just try and keep this in the corner and try and play as many build minions like Rescue RX and whatever builds you happen to be playing. Get some decent draw there, but all around, I think you could do without this, honestly. But it's a good card. It's playable. The Septibot, as I mentioned earlier, this is insane in Songhai, or just any faction in general, because getting out a 7/5 after this 7/5 silver, if those are the only mechs you're playing, is insane. It's very high tempo. Great card. That's all I really have to say. I see a lot of these on ladder, and it's a really powerful combo. Timekeeper, I really wish this card didn't exist, to be frank. I like the build mechanic, but rushing some of them, so like if you're able to rush this out earlier than it should be, this guy, Biometric Hulk, insane. So you get that out on 4 mana, assuming you only played 1 Timekeeper, right? insane. That's all I have to really say about this. I really wish this wasn't introduced because it just makes some combos potentially really bad. So cards like Gate to the Undervault, that can be really insane to get that out early, right? You must just start generating 6/6s. It's insane. I love this guy right here. Impervious Giago, 5 mana, 1/10. Whenever this minion is attacked, it gains +2 attack, so its counter attack will be 3 attack. And 5 attack, and so on and so forth, like Wildcard. And it has Provoke too, so this can go well in a Divine Bond list. Yeah, I like it. It looks like Snorlax from Pokemon with armor. It's pretty badass. I like it. Yeah, I think it's a good card. Does it fit in every deck? No. But more Divine Bond support, I think it's good. Also, if you're looking to build like a control list and your faction doesn't have many Provokes or no Provokes, yeah, you could throw this in there. Try and stall for a little bit, right? Copper Crisp Marauder, this is great with Kalios. Play this on 5, Zendo on 6, and that's 18 damage potentially. With this Dragon Seal, it's 20. So yeah, its downside is if you have a friendly minion and it dies, your opponent gets control of this, but usually with Kalios, you're just looking to play one big 5-drop at a time. So this isn't really too big of a concern. So yeah, pretty strong. I saw one person, as you saw in the Abyssian live, I think I was playing Buying Coats, and he played, or no, it was in the Vitruvian live. He played this in Nether Melted. Yeah, that's also a possibility you can do. But with Vitruvian, with Abyssian, you have more minions that you would like to play, and they're a little bit, they have lower stats. You can easily lose control of this, but another play you can make. I've always been a fan of demonic lore, nether meld, like Thunderhorn combos, so this adds to that. Project Omega, this is a 6 mana 1/1. This gains +2/+2 for each other mech you summoned this game, and after you summon this minion. So if you start playing mechs after this, it'll still keep getting bigger. So let's say this is a 11/11. You just summon 4 mechs, right? Excuse me, this is a 9/9. You summon 4 mechs. And then you play another mech after, it becomes a 11/11. So it has potential to get bigger. This is like a really good calculator for mechs. Yeah, you just play this with, like you play Mechazor and then into this becomes 13/13, which is pretty insane. So yeah, it's good. Yeah, it's a good card. Silver, as I already mentioned a bunch of times, you can get this out with the set spot early. It's very high tempo, and if you can do this multiple times, it's even higher tempo. Insane combos you can do with this. Or if you just play this with like a pure mech deck, so you get your Mechazor out, and then you play this guy, he'll gain all the keywords. You can even do like a rush combo, which will be insane. I've seen that done. So all around, this card is, I think this card's better than Project Omega, simply because of the possibilities it can have. So good card, very good card. Core Llama, which is a 6 mana 6/6 neutral opening gamut. Remove all 2 minions or less from each player's deck. I think this is more of a deck card if you're trying to like mill your opponent. But I haven't seen much play out of this. I don't think it's particularly strong, but it could be. It could be a deck card. Not a big fan though. And lastly, we have Reliquarian, which is a 7 mana 3/3 opening gamut. Forge a friendly minion into a faction artifact with equal attack. And this is on Reddit by Silverness, so you just go on Reddit and you can see it, which faction you'll get. So Abyssian is whatever you sacrifice, you get that many attacks. So let's say you sacrifice a Desolator, you'll get +3 attack, and the effect for Abyssian is, I think, you steal life whenever you attack with your general. So that's pretty good. You can do this with a neutral minion. If you do it with a neutral minion, you just get attack buff, no additional effect. So I've seen some pretty cool decks with this, and I think it's decent. Yeah, I think it's a decent set, decent card. But anyways, that's all the cards we have for Immortal Vanguard. Overall, I think this is like they introduced a lot of memes, nothing that I don't think will impact the meta too much outside of some of the Mechazor combos, like what's it called? silver Deceptibot into silver with Assassination Protocol. That's a big one. Magmar got some more control cards and a lot of more aggro cards for. I think Magmar benefited from this the most, I want to say. Lionar, not so much. Lionar got a bunch of memes and support towards one archetype, or two technically with mech. A lot of these cards are nice for Songhai, but I still think the faction that takes away the most is either Magmar or Vitruvian. You know, Gust, Grapnel, Lost in the Desert. Those were some of the pretty powerful cards for those respective factions. So I think those two factions benefited the most, and Bystium to an extent as well. So yeah, guys, if you enjoyed this episode, please leave a like. Let me know your thoughts on the factions and what your cards are the favorite, and let me know what you think you'll be hyped to see in the future. And yeah, so yeah, happy Friday, guys. My mouth is very dry, so I'll take my leave here. So hope you guys enjoy your Fridays, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye, guys.